The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Thank you for joining us here in FRCMedia. Fall River's preliminary election is coming up on September 16th. Only one race on the ballot, and that's the race for mayor. There are 5 candidates running in this cycle, and I'm pleased to be joined by one of them. He is Gabriel Boomer Amaral, and he's looking to unseat Mayor Paul Coogan as mayor. Boomer, if I can call you Boomer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
It took me a long time to answer to Gabriel anyway, so Boomer's just the norm, so that's absolutely fine.
So I want to ask you a lot of questions about the issues in Fall River, but first, for people who don't know who you are, just give us a little background about yourself.
So I'm Gabriel Boomer Amaral. I was born and raised in Fall River. I'm a single dad of 6 children, which I raised in Fall River. And like most people here, we grew up just going about our day, going about our business, not really, paying attention. And our families and parents, my vavoo, they all moved. They immigrated here, worked here till they died, right? That was the way. And just grew up running around the streets. We were that era where we were out playing baseball, we were out playing basketball, we were at the parks until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. We were just being kids, And somewhere along the way, we lost the ability to do that, to live that life. And you drive by any of these parks, they're empty. The fields are overgrown. The courts are empty. So I'm looking to make our city better, where we can bring that back. And that's a big part of why I'm running. Just get our city back on track, and hopefully, in the process, lower the costs. That's the goal.
Yeah. So talk about your professional career. I know you were in the military for a number of years. So talk about that, and what do you do now?
I was in the Army National Guard. I started off there in 2006. I became AGR, active duty for the National Guard, in 2008. And I worked within recruiting command. So I did everything from recruiting, retention, the top talent that we had to bring into the military, to being a team leader, to being a master trainer, so training all of the recruiters on how to do that job. I've worked with the AMED program, so I brought in doctors, lawyers, nurses, the specialty branch recruiting, dealing with that stuff. So creating jobs, networking is what I do, bringing teams together, bringing the best of the best together. And that's how I spent my last, 19 years or so.
You've run for public office before. I believe the last 2 cycles you ran for City Council.
Yes.
What did you learn from that you will take to this race?
Trust nobody. Keep your circle small. But at the same time, don't be afraid to speak out. I think I held back a lot. Back then, because it was always, you can't say that, or you can't do that, and you tried to listen to people, you tried to learn from the people that have been doing this. You can't go after that person, you can't say this. And I've learned that I can do what I want. And being in the military, learning to stand up, and we're willing to go to war. We're worried about what we say about politicians and these people that keep taking from us. So I think for me, it's speak up, educate the people, because just like them, I didn't know everything that was going on. I didn't know the facts, and we didn't get the facts. And you'd get these snapshots. This person said this person said this, and then you're looking at the closed door meetings and speaking up. I think speaking up and going on TV and doing these uncomfortable things. I hate being on camera. I'll tell you right now, I absolutely hate being on camera. But at the end of the day, this is the new way of reaching people. I heard on a local radio station the other day talk about, but that's just online and those things don't count. And it's like, well, when that radio station was looking at 300 views, and I'm looking at this video is reaching 29,000 people, that's the thing. That shows you how out of touch a lot of these other people are, and these other places are, and that's how they've had control for so long. At the end of the day, you got to grow with the times. You got to reach people where you can reach them. And you're not going to reach them in the mills anymore. You're not going to reach them outside, the factories anymore. That doesn't work that way. Where people are, they're on their phones, they're on their laptops, they're on their computers, they're on podcasts. And you got to reach people where they are. They're not going to come to you. So I learned a lot of this the hard way of not really getting out there, not really opening up, not really meeting, with the media and stuff like that. Kind of just, I think I'm doing enough. Okay, I got out there, I talked to enough people, and I didn't. So
And I think, when you ran 2 years ago, I believe you finished 11th, 12th or 11th? You did fairly well.
I was basically right behind Ricky.
All right, so
right
that would have been 11th.
So wherever Ricky is, I finished right behind him, and that's how he got on. And if he didn't take the position, I would have been put in there. I'm glad he did, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad he took the position. I know he's been trying for a long time, and I do believe he means well for the city.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he did take the position.
So you are a registered Republican. You're also part of the state committee, correct? You do represent this area. So
I am
the
Republican state committeeman for Bristol Plymouth 1. So Swansea, Somerset, Fall River, all this area. So Freetown, myself and my counterpart, Kayla Churchill. So we are the committeeman and committee woman for this area.
Is there anything you can take from that role that will help you feel?
I think listening to the people, listening to the issues, getting out there. Unfortunately, shortly after that election, I made it to the first meeting, and then I had a brain aneurysm. So I was out for a little bit. So now I'm just getting back into the swing of things for that as well. So I got some making up to do. Obviously being out, the military being out of work total, had to learn how to walk, talk again, right? So I got some making up to do on that level. But for the most part, I learned politics is a very dirty business, no matter how you do it. And you work with people, and then the next day they're against you, and that's just the way it works. So keep your circle small, bring the people in that you trust, and always doing what's best for the people will, no matter what those people do, no matter what all these people try to do and these campaigns try to do, won't matter, because the people are going to see the results.
Yep.
So they can talk all they want, you can have these comments all you want, that social media stuff's got its good and bad, right? It's a double-edged sword. But at the end of the day, if you're doing right by the people, you're doing right by your family, you're doing right by your kids, you're going to do right by everybody's kids. Because if I'm looking at what's best for my kids, I'm obviously looking at what's best for your kids.
So let me ask you, last year, President Trump actually won here in Fall River.
Yep.
Can you glean anything from that in terms of your Republican background?
Surprised it took 3 elections.
That maybe there may be a lot more right-leaning electorate here.
I don't know if it's right-leaning. I just think people are fed up with the same. People are waking up. There's a lot of word salad coming out of everybody. There's a lot of, again, current mayor's been in there for 6 years. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. All we've done is go broke. We've had more money than we've ever gotten. Gone, wasted, brought nothing to the city. We don't have new jobs. We don't have these big companies coming here. We don't have, better roads. Same neighborhoods, same areas. Yeah, those same ones that they fix every election year because it's election time. But we don't have a better city. Yeah. We don't have better crime. We don't have a better education. We don't have better anything. There's nothing here that's better. Our veterans are still suffering. Our kids are still suffering. Our streets are atrocious. Sorry. All these things are still there.
Yeah.
Nothing's gotten better. The only thing that's gotten better are salaries of certain people.
All right, so let's start talking about some of the issues.
Sure.
You mentioned budget. The city's budget has increased exponentially over the past few years.
Almost double.
What would you do in terms of reining in costs? Any suggestions on where you would cut costs and where you would maybe or shuffle money around to different priorities?
I don't know how much we can cut, right? Because a lot of this is already allocated, right? So my issue being that it's overinflated. We have overinflated positions. We have, City Hall alone, and I don't want to I don't want to go in there and say, oh, I'm cutting everybody's jobs, because that's not my goal. I don't want to take food out of people's mouths. But we got a lot of renegotiating to do with contracts. We got a lot of renegotiating to do with people living off of the taxpayer's dime. You did not get into public service to get wealthy. And if you did it for the wrong reasons. I'm going in, and I the first thing I want to do, and I want the city council to approve, and I obviously there's legalities behind everything, and you got to present all this stuff, right? There's a slow process to everything. I don't know why we create it that way, but we do. If it was up to me, I'd go in on day one and I'd cut my pay $10,000. There are certain department heads that I believe are overpaid. There are certain departments that I believe are overpaid. But then there are certain departments that I believe need more, right? So the reallocation is definitely going to be a key portion and a large portion of what I go in there to do. Ultimately, the goal is to always come to a point. If I can lower taxes, like I have goals. My first goal to lower taxes would be for 65 and older, right? For the elderly. They don't have the ability to go out and if my costs go up, all right, I can go work a few extra hours. I can go do that kind of stuff. Our retirement community can't do that. They don't have that ability anymore, right? Like they, maybe some here and there as far as like, doing real estate or doing things like that, but they shouldn't have to go out and stress how they're gonna pay their bills at 65 years old after being retired, right? So I wanna be able to help that. Single moms, whatever it may be, right? I'm a single dad. Like I understand the cost of living. My grocery bill is almost $700 a week. I know what it costs to feed your children, right? So for me, I wanna do so much, but I think a lot of reallocation is gonna be the starting process.
Yep.
And then we can work out the issues because they're all intertwined.
I want to ask you about the reallocation and renegotiating salaries of those that you can. Obviously, union contracts, especially if they're in place, you're kind of locked in until the next renegotiation.
Correct.
But how do you balance that cutting salaries, lowering salaries, with the need to hire quality people in some of those positions? Because there's been talk in the city that Fall River doesn't pay enough. So how do you balance that?
My job for 19 years, well, we'll say the last 16 years in recruiting, was talent management. Okay, I've gotten the best of the best year after year. I've been the top recruiter, the top retention NCO. I've been the top all the way through my career. For 16 years, it was my job to find the best with the least. I'm not saying you're gonna come here and you're gonna make bare minimums and just do enough because you care about the city. That's not the case. We're gonna pay you for your talent. But if we're sitting here and all these salaries, in let's say the last 5 years, right? We'll go almost 6 years, right? This is his third term, so we're looking at 6 years. Over the last five and a half years, our budget went from 273-ish to $516 million. If we hired the best and all that money went to hiring the best and all these raises went to giving us the best, would we be in the predicament we're in right now? So in my opinion, we're just throwing money at whoever's there. You're telling me, okay, this department was failing, so I hired 5 more people for this department and 10 more people for this department. But what'd you do with the people that were already there that weren't doing it? You left them there and kept paying them? So you added to our cost, you added to your voters, and that's fine. I understand why he did it. But at the end of the day, that money's not yours. It is not coming from your checkbook. You're not a business owner, right? When he talks about creating jobs and doing this stuff, you didn't create jobs. You created increases on the taxpayers. You gave your friends and family jobs. You didn't create jobs. These jobs are here. I believe we have too many chiefs, not enough Indians in a lot of our categories in school department and city, right? For me, it's not about saying they're not qualified. It's not about, oh, you're not the best, we shouldn't pay you that, or we want the best, but we don't want to pay you. I want to pay you. But if you're failing, exponentially failing, which the city is failing, nobody can tell me a single positive thing that's going on in this city. We have one chance at this. Our waterfront is one chance. And right now we're looking to give it away to someone who hasn't brought a single company here to really bring in jobs, and that's his only job? No. The people need to have a say.
Yeah, let me shift to that. You're talking about, obviously Route 79, when that's done, that waterfront development, close to 20 acres. How would you handle that?
Two things I'd like to do. One, I want to get a census from the people. What do we want here? What do we need here, right? Stop bringing in, what are we getting the most? The people should have a say. We're going to give up our waterfront. We're going to give up all that land, all that area. The people should have a say. But we know Fall River has no entertainment, no real entertainment, right? We've got a couple of small restaurants that are always here and pillars of the city, and that's great, and they do a lot for the city. Love them. But at the end of the day, we don't really have people coming to Fall River to see Fall River, to be in Fall River, to enjoy Fall River. People are leaving Fall River. Maybe people are coming here because the rents are cheaper from where they're coming from. But again, that's not helping our city. That's not bringing in tax dollars. They're not buying, they're renting, right? For the most part. So when you look at downtown, South Main Street, look at it. It's a shell of what it used to be. We cannot afford for that to happen. And I do want to work on that, by the way. I have plans for that. But we can't afford for that to happen with our waterfront, because we're never going to be able to afford to fix that again. We're never going to be able to. We don't have the state coming in, the federal government coming in and giving us all this money for nothing. They want a big piece of that pie, right? And they're going to get it. It's their land. They're going to get a lot of it. We need to fight for what we can. We don't look around. What do we have that's different? Anything that's different. Look at Providence. Look at New Bedford's downtown, right? Have you been to New Bedford's downtown? They do it right. It's great. Does New Bedford have a lot of the same issues and trouble things that we do? Of course they do. Every city's going to. But their downtown is alive. Their downtown is building, it's getting bigger, everything's open, people have things to do. They're not leaving to go somewhere else anymore. They're not heading to the Providences and to everywhere else anymore. Maybe go to Boston and stuff like that. But even that, nobody wants to go to Boston anymore. Between the traffic, the violence, the crime, nobody's looking to go to Boston like they used to. We need to bring that life here. We need to bring our bigger restaurants here. We need to bring activities for our kids here, sports complexes, whatever it may be. I put a call into Reebok. Why can't we bring Reebok's facility down here? Not only do they have a training facility, a tryout facility, they have they make their brands, they make their sneakers, they have their shops, they have their stores. They do all that stuff here, and it's all glassed here. Why can't we do stuff like that? Why can't we have rooftop bar and grills on the water? Like things that just we don't have. We have the best view in all of Massachusetts, in my opinion. We have the best view, and we're not going to use it.
Yeah. I want to move on to other things. We've only got a limited amount of time. So I want to shift now to cost of living. You mentioned that before. Obviously, Fall River is still affordable compared to other communities in Massachusetts. But for people here, right, it's very difficult for the people who live here.
Sure is.
How can a mayor and how can a city government help with that? And not only just day-to-day living, but rent and other issues like that in terms of cost of living in general.
Incentivize. Incentivizing these landlords and these homeowners by not overtaxing them, by not overfee. Like we have fees on top of fees on top of fees, inspections for this, inspections for that. Listen, there's a code. Hold them to it. But we're going way outside the box of thinking that the 30% of the homeowners should keep paying 100% of the bill. They're not. They have zero imagination in City Hall. They have zero imagination. They're not bringing in any other income, none. But don't worry, we're going to sell this building, and this person that donates to me is going to build all these units, and we're going to bring in more renters. Great, more renters for these 30% of the population to keep paying for. That is not helping our city. These market rate apartments. I do real estate. I love rental units. I love investments. I am all for having investments. But that's not helping the homeowner. That's not helping the taxpayer. We need to find a new way and work a different way of these investors helping the city and helping build real homes for people. Real homes that actually pay taxes. Those buildings are not doing it. We're giving them TIFs and ties and all this nonsense for decades. And what are they paying? And the people that are going to rent there, they're not paying the taxes. Oh, well, they're using our shops and our restaurants. You can probably name 5 restaurants in this city. How much money do you think they're bringing into our local economy? And what shops are they shopping at? Market Basket? Walmart? Maybe Old Navy and Five Below? What shops do we have? That's not true, right? They're not doing that. That's not helping our economy. We need to rethink how we're going to invest in our city, and that requires bringing in taxes. That requires businesses coming here. You can't bring businesses here if your city is not safe. No business wants to come here to be robbed every day.
Are you willing to provide incentives for those businesses, TIFs and ties that we've seen elsewhere?
If it's going to be big enough to create jobs for our citizens and bring in taxes to our city, I'm open to it. I'm not closed off to being nobody gets anything, right? I don't believe I would give one to builders, to people just wanting to bring in more units. I do not believe I will do that. Unless they can show me some way where maybe it's all above living and then there's shops underneath and it's going to bring money and jobs, but it's got to be enough jobs. Bringing in companies that are going to bring in 4 or 5 jobs, that's not enough for the city. That's not helping us. We don't have the workforce here. We don't have the jobs here. We don't have the security here. We don't have the money here. So I want these investors here. I love them. I appreciate them. Listen, I envy them, right? But at the end of the day, the only people making the money are them.
Yeah. All right. Let me shift to public safety. Do you feel that our police and fire departments are at their optimum staffing levels? And if not, how would you try to help improve that?
I do think we need an updated, analysis done on what needs to be staffed, right? We're going by, antiquated data. We're going by old data. Do I think they're up to par with what they need? No. Do I think that work schedules need to be reevaluated? Do I think certain things need to be reevaluated? Yes. Do I think, if we're fully funding all these positions, but none of these positions are full, where's the money? Where's that money going? So A big thing with that is everybody's like, oh, we're going to recruit, we're going to recruit, we're going to recruit. I was a recruiting and retention NCO for 16 years. You cannot recruit if your retention is terrible. Your retention is terrible because of what's going on internally, right? What's there to offer? What do you have to offer? How you treat your people, all that stuff. If your retention is bad, these people all have family and friends. They're not going to go recruit for you. If you take care of your soldiers are going to bring you all their friends and family, right? Hey, he took care of me. He meant everything he said. This is doing great for me. I'm going to school, whatever it may be, right? It's the same thing. Same thing with our police departments or fire departments. We have to have a better, unified interior to make sure that we are recruiting the best of the best and people want to stay here.
Now, in terms of police departments specifically, how does that translate into combating crime and getting Fall River in a better position to deal with crime?
Simple. You got more. You have more officers. You have more people on duty. You have less crime, right? Being present is a deterrent. Police being present is a deterrent to crime, right? Right now we got 10 cars covering a 12-sector city, so there's always openings, right? We know the worst of the worst. We know where the target areas are, but the average person doesn't. People moving here don't, because we don't put it on a map. We don't do that, right? We don't advertise that we have between one and top 4 of the highest crime in the state. We're not going to advertise that because that doesn't bring people here to spend money, right? So at the end of the day, when you look at, I really got to stop saying that, by the way. So I will try. But when you look at our police officers and detectives and CAS teams and all these, they're going out and they are killing themselves. They are doing a fantastic job. You see it every day. They're taking guns and drugs and criminals off the streets every day. We also need to work with the courts, the DA, and tell them to stop making deals and start being firm on crime in the city. And I don't believe our court system here is being firm on crime. And maybe that's a conversation that we have to have at the state level and start talking to judges and start talking to whoever we need to do. But Fall River needs to be more strict on consequence for what's going wrong. And I'm not saying like, a kid, it's his first offense, things like that, put him in jail for 10 years. That's not what we're saying. But these career criminals that continue to come back on the streets, the same drugs, the same guns, the same violence, and they continue to keep walking, these cops are spinning their wheels. I'd be tired too. So being able to retain good police officers where they want to recruit, and our other police officers that left are like, hey, this is how it was supposed to be run. I want to come back. I know police officers that loved being cops here, loved it. But you're getting passed over because this one knows this one and this one knows this one. And who wants to stay here for that? Yeah. When they can get more money to just do small town stuff. Yeah.
So homeless situation has been a problem in Fall River. The police department just recently disbanded encampments at the rail trail. That's one of those issues that some people will say, well, that should happen. There's an ordinance in place for illegal camping. How do you think the city should deal with the homeless problem?
It's a multifaceted issue, right? Not everybody that's homeless is a criminal, right? Or an addict. Some people just can't afford to live. Some people are living in cars, and we don't take that as serious, right? Because they have a roof over their head. That's not true, right? Homeless is homeless. So you have to address that in multifaceted levels. So when you're talking about, okay, we offer rehab and shelter. If you ignore that, then we have to clear you off the street because it is a nuisance and it is a danger and it is a criminal element to it to some extent. Am I saying they're all criminals? No, of course not. Somebody's going to take that soundbite and do it, but no, it's not. But you can't be there. You can't do it. If you're refusing the rehab, then hey, we're going to take the gloves off and we're going to put you in a position where you have to accept the rehab or you're going to want to leave Fall River because you're not going to like the counter nuisance that we can create, right? At the end of the day, if you're violating the law and you're breaking the law and it's a Friday, but you just want to stay out to go get your fix or whatever it is, you're gonna spend the weekend in jail until court. We're gonna force that rehab on you and make the right decision and try to help you and try to reach you and we're gonna put the councils in place to obviously work with them while we're doing that. But we can't keep coddling people. We can't do it. Like I want to feed the world. I don't want to see anybody homeless. I was homeless as a child. 12 years old, I was living under a cement block porch. I came from, my mother was an addict. My father was a drug dealer. Like, I come from that kind of life. I understand what these people are dealing with. I understand it. But there's choices to be made. And as much of a punk kid as I was running around the city because I only had myself and nobody to answer to and nobody to guide me in the right direction, I had to learn my lessons the hard way. I still had choices to make. and I didn't choose drugs. I knew what I didn't want to be, right? But some people don't have that choice. You know, they made the choice and they're stuck. It is horrible. It's horrible for them. But then you have the people who can't afford living. Okay, we need to work with those people and how to get them assistance and how to do that stuff. We're going to have a team for that. Okay, we're also going to have a team for the mentally unstable. The mentally ill people that are homeless, they didn't ask to be let out. They didn't ask for that stuff. So I want to work with South Coast. I want to work with Primacare. I want to work with them. And how can we help them get us the best mental health specialist that they can bring in, or whoever, I don't care who it is, your private companies, whatever it may be. But those are the bigger ones that are here. So if they can come in and they can help us, I'll give them the space.
I want to move on. Education, you talked about how the school departments received a lot more money over the past few years through the Student Opportunity Act, while educational attainment levels are still below standards. Again, as the chair of the school committee, how can you help mitigate those issues?
We're going to show the people what's really going on in these schools. We're going to show the parents. We're going to show the real results. There's no more hiding anything. There's no more covering up. There's no more of that. So our teachers need the money. Our teachers need the help in the classroom. Our teachers need the assistance in the classroom. We don't need 30 vice principals, 3 coaches, a head of every department in every single school. The district should be teaching across the board. I shouldn't need a department head in every school to reiterate the same district standards. We're talking about a 23%, I think the number was like 23% comprehension rate and math rate, or whatever it may be. And it's like, these kids are still graduating. No child left behind, and we're not keeping children back, and we're not doing that. But we're also not educating them. And there's only so much one teacher can do in a classroom. And we're short 160, 190 of them. So realistically, who's educating these kids? Paras, maybe some of them. I know paras personally that had a GED, and they just want to work with kids, and they're good with it, and it doesn't make them uneducated. But are they qualified to teach kids, algebraic expressions? Probably, maybe not. Or are they able to teach them how to read and write at a professional level to get to the college level to do that? I don't know. But I'm going to go with they're not educated for that reason, right? They're still working at it, whatever it may be. But yet, you go into any school, look in the office. There's 15 people running around. Why are there 15 people running around here and I got kids sitting in a cafeteria with no teacher? Why? That is not okay. So we're going to do, I'm going to work with the school committee. Obviously, I can't just make unilateral decisions of saying, hey, you're fired, you need to do this. But we're going to look at the results of these people that have been there, and you're going to have some choices to make. And I'm hoping that the school committee, just like I hope the city council, wants to work with me, not against me. I don't want to go up there and do all this fighting stuff that they're doing every week or every month. It's nonsense. I don't want to come downstairs and fight with the city council. Hey, if you don't like something I'm doing, tell me why. If it makes sense, okay, how can we work together to fix it? Don't tell me that's not my job and that's your job and you go figure that out. We don't need to do that. That tit for tat stuff, if that's what you want to do, fine. Then I'll bring it to the people and we'll let the people decide who's looking out for them. That's all I'm here for. I'm here because I work for the people. And I think a lot of our people in office, our people in these high positions in the school department, they forgot that bill is paid for on the hard work of the taxpayer.
We're running out of time. I want to give you 1 minute to sort of address that camera in front of you and why people should vote for Boomer Amaral on September 16th.
I'm the only one qualified to do it. I'm the only one that has the same goals as everyone else. Look around, look at the other candidates, look at the people that have been here, the people that have been doing this all this time, the people who just registered to vote and never voted before. These people never thought anything was important before running for office. Now all of a sudden they're into voting and they're registered as this, and these people are going to come out and they're going to fix all your problems, but they never voted to help your problems to get to this point. I'm here. I am a father. I've been fighting day in and day out. I've been to the meetings. I've written into the meetings even when I couldn't be there because I'm at a baseball game or whatever it may be. I pay attention. I know the issues in the schools. I know what we're dealing with. I've seen the sexual assaults being covered up firsthand. I know the dangers of our city. Help me help all of us have a better city and get our lives back the way they belong. Help me lower our costs by working together. Let's find the fraud. Let's find it and clean it out once and for all and prove that it can be done right. Vote for me.
All right. Thank you. Gabriel Boomer Amaral, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. Good
Appreciate
luck.
you having me.
Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Anytime.
I thank you for joining us here on FRC Media, and please make a point to vote on Tuesday, September 16th.